Because you have no privacy at sea for half a year.
No, the truly weird thing is how disgustingly comfortable you are talking about weird shit with people.
It's because you know everything about everybody on your ship. There's no secrets. Anything weird about you, everyone knows.
Yep.
You know what my nickname was before I made E4? Battle Diaper. Why? Because whenever we had a surface combat situation where I had to fire the 50 cal or the 25 mic, I lost bowel control from an adrenaline dump. It went away later, but my supervisor came up to me and be like, I got these for you, shipmate. And they were camouflaged adult diapers.
Nice.
Word got around that I was wearing those because you never know when there was battle. And when there's battle diaper is ready. So I didn't know that was my nickname. I mean, like, I heard you got a nickname. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you'll probably hear over the 1MC after we're done with general quarters. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it didn't go over the 1MC. It went over the sound-powered phones, thank God. But still, everyone fucking heard it that's involved in this mission, this general quarters. So after, we're doing batters and, we're done shooting the shit. This is a Strader Removes, right after the Strader Removes incident, because that was my first car. Combat Action Ribbon, for those of you who don't know Marine Corps and Navy stuff. We're doing a smoke float shoot or something or other. And then it's like, all right, stand down from general quarters. And then they were giving all the instructions, make sure you turn everything back around, and battle diaper, change them. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, that's you, bitch. And then it was like, where's battle diaper at? Because I was actually decorated. I was actually known for being a bit of a savage and, had to do some shit with the guns. So I got combat experience, but that is just to make it funny. And I wore that with pride. When I'm 84, they can't call you that anymore. Because you're technically a petty officer. You're the lowest version of it, but nobody calls you that shit anymore. So even though I said, it's like, who's that? It's me, it's Battle Diaper. Petty Officer Garrett. I don't know who you're talking about, Petty Officer. It's basically, that was a wink from my chief, like, you can't do that shit no more. So, because all the E3 and belows have nicknames, like, hey, where's dipshit? Where's fuckface? Where's pussy breath?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then if you have, blisters and shit, where's whoremouth? So.
Couldn't do that as an ET because everybody was E4 already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we couldn't do that in the Air Force.
Well, that's because you guys are...
because you're not a bunch of pirates.
Yo-ho.
It's colder.
More like corporate America, so everybody gets called to HR for that shit.
Yeah, that's
true. I didn't like Air Force because I had a lieutenant try to tell me, it's Dave. We're cool now. We're not on duty right now. You can just call me Dave. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
am I dismissed? Just relax. I know, you're not in the Navy here. You're with the Air Force, guys. It's Dave. Is there anything else, sir? Yeah, I ain't fucking doing that. You know why? Because I'm way more scared of my freaking chief hearing about that shit than I am about anything he can do. So because even though my chief wouldn't give a shit, he would pretend he gave a shit to fuck with me, because that's how the Navy works.
Yeah.
So we fuck with each other all the time. It's how you make people tough in the Navy. So. Because everybody comes in with thin skin, and they got to make you thick skin to survive being at sea for that long. So
the only people I talked like that with were pilots.
Yeah.
Starting
it's funny.
Whatever else, pilots. I mean, we're different breed altogether.
Yep, I agree with that. Navy pilots too. I got to hear Navy pilots and Air Force pilots consecutively, one after another in the same day. The thing that I could tell is the Air Force guys were super professional, really cool and collected, perfect professionals. It'd be like, yeah, this is Viper 01, blah, blah, roger that. It sounds like a commercial airline pilot. And then you hear the Navy pilot being like, ladies and gentlemen, this is Skippity Doo Dah coming in over the horizon. Blah, blah. It's just so fucking slick and sarcastic and talking shit the whole fucking time. I mean, roger that. We're coming in like a bat out of hell. You know what? And like, who the fuck was that? That was the Navy pilots. They like do everything the Air Force does, but like in a slick freaking, cowboy way. But you can always tell which one's the Navy.
I don't know. I mean, I've met some pretty cocky pilots from the Air Force too, but then again, those
They're cowboys, man. They know that they're the rock stars in their world. So I understand that. Yeah.
And they'll tell you too. I mean, it's
But they will.
They're in the Air Force and they're the ones that fly. They know who they are, and cool, you got it.
It also depends on what they fly too.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're flying a tanker, if they're flying cargo or whatever else, but if they're flying a bomber versus a fighter, there's a different way they talk, the way they act, and everything else too.
Yep.
So I came off of F-16s. So we talked mad shit with the cargo and everything else. I mean, it's just the way it was.
Yep.
So, I mean,
the Air Force will have like professional, tough guy, or like regular call signs too, like Viper, Ghost, that kind of stuff. But like the Navy will be like, this is Bozo. This is Stinky Fox. And Bozo is actually a real call sign. That fighter pilot, he was an F-14 pilot, and he's the one that piloted for Tom Cruise in the original Top Gun. And Tom Cruise tells a story how when they were flying and stuff, he's not really piloting. The guy behind him is actually piloting, he like leans forward to check something on his gear, and then the fighter pilot pulls up really hard and sends Tom Cruise's feet down to his head down to his ankles, and he's stuck like, and then when he comes out of it, like, hey, I was freaking late. He's like, oh yeah, sorry about that. They don't call me Bozo for nothing, So Navy don't give a fuck. They like have stupid, crazy call signs, and the Air Force will be really
the Air Force
is just different.
You get two different call signs.
BRB.
So you get a call sign that's your actual, like, your name or whatever else, and then you have your flying call sign or the operation call sign.
Yep. And the Navy will have those too, but they might be fucked up, and then they get away with it. You could actually have a fighter pilot called Clown Penis.
Right.
You couldn't fly that. You couldn't have that crap in the Air Force.
Well, my first pilot was a female. Her call sign was Betty, because in the cockpit you have what's called bitching Betty. So that's where her call sign came from. So that when you have like bingo fuel, or you're too low and it says pull up, pull up, pull up, that's bitching Betty that does that. And that's where her call sign came from, because she was basically bitching about everything. So that's how she got her call sign, was bitching Betty.
Yeah.
But she bitched a lot for us, because if a pilot left thought in the cockpit or a pencil or whatever else, she'd bitch at him and everything else to get us cases of beer or whatever else for whatever they left.
I'm not gonna lie, that's their fucking job, to take care of their crew like that.
Oh yeah.
It's cool that she did that.
Beer was given to me because of that shit.
Navy pilots aren't like that. So in the Air Force, the pilot comes in and he can start shouting orders and demands, right? The Navy pilot, we will call you when we need you, sir. We're working on your plane. When it's time for you to go, you'll get alerted by the air boss. And the pilot's like, comes in like, hey, so where am I going? Over here, sir. They're hands off until, except helicopter aircrew. They're really involved in that. But like a Hornet fighter, that guy's never there, and he's in briefings and everything like that. And then they'll let him know when he's to come out there and be in there, and everything's.
Yeah, they'll get their cell number, they'll get their flight times, their mission plans, all that stuff, and they step to the aircraft and they tell us, what time pilots are stepping or whatever else. Mm-hmm. So we're prepped and everything else, but that aircraft's ours, and even when it's on the ground, until he takes off, until he taxis, that aircraft's ours. I mean, he has zero control over it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had pilots come out and say, hey, this is my aircraft. And I said, no, sir, it's not. Your fucking name's not on this aircraft. No fucking plates. This is my aircraft. My name's right here. It's on the forms. It's on the aircraft.
You were a tech sergeant, weren't you?
No, I was a fucking. When I got to that aircraft, I was an E2.
Because techs will talk like that to the officers a lot of times.
I didn't give a shit. I walked out there fucking.
Well, if you're right, that will fly in the Air Force. In the Navy, you use the wrong fucking tone of voice to a commissioned officer, you're done.
So I'm not.
But there's a separation between us. You work with the brass a lot. Navy don't.
Yes.
If an officer's on the deck, be like, yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. And he's like, how can I help you, sir? And be like, oh, I just came to check on. So it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
sir.
it's a separation of church and state on that one.
Yeah, and like, because really, we have a chief we have chiefs that are buffers for that. In fact, if there's like an ensign or division officer coming out, like, how's it going, gentlemen? Just came to see, I'm your divo, want to see how everybody's doing. Good morning to you. And like, chief will come out and be like, hey, ensign, can I talk to you for a second, sir? He's like, yeah, chief, what's up? What the fuck are you doing here? Get back in the office. I got this.
And we have.
Chief, I just want to talk to you. Okay, well, you did your piece, sir. I would highly, let me put this in more formal terms. Sir, with respect, please leave my deck. Thank you, sir. It's like you talk to me if you got to talk to them. They'll get pissy and shit. So, and the thing is that chief petty officers are appointed by Congress. They're untouchable by those guys. So they would have to go cry to an admiral to touch him. So they're good advocates for us. So we don't, and it's also tradition because it was the officers and then the men who were all conscripts. So, and the only way you could be anything talking to the officers, like if you made eye contact with a commissioned officer, he might hit you with a freaking rattan, which was like used for smacking people and using our horse and shit. So he might beat you right there. For making eye contact with them when you're supposed to be working. But an officer had the right to, if there was a guy that was really experienced and the officer trusted him, that lieutenant could say, Mr. Bowles, step forward. I hereby, how long have you been at sea, sir? And he's like, Lieutenant, I've been at sea for 15 years now, sir. And then it'd be like, I hereby rate you petty officer. Make sure the men are. And he's like, I'm petty officer. All right, men, you've heard the lieutenant. Let's go, chop, chop. So, and so there was that kind of separation, and they keep that tradition. So the officers eat in a whole different place. They eat in the wardroom, and they're all fancy. They have to pay for their meals, by the way. That's tradition, too. Even though the Navy don't need their money. They have their own stateroom. If you're the lowest ranking fucking officer on the ship, you're sharing a stateroom with one other guy. And you each have a desk and a chair in there, and you have a regular twin bed on a regular height. You don't have to climb into it and shit. And you have lockers, and you might even have a toilet in your place.
Yeah, you don't have to sleep in fucking berthing.
We don't want, like, when they're out on deck, we're more worried about them getting hurt because we are really good at what we do, and you're in the way. So,
And that's the sort of thing with us as well. I mean,
but you work with the officers, which you have to in your kind of work. You'll actually work in the same buildings and offices and have. When an officer talks to you about something, you can actually talk back and say, "Sir, I don't think that'll work." We don't have those conversations. It's I'm standing there, yes, sir, no, sir, and then as soon as it says carry on, it's like really like there's not a back and forth where we're debating how to do something.
So when I retrained in logistics, yes. When I was in flatline, aircraft maintenance. Didn't deal with an officer at all other than pilots stepping to fly. Other than that, but again, when I was on the flat line and everything else they were flying, it was one of those things. It's like, hey, whatever. They're taking my jet for a joyride and coming back. I mean,
yep. An officer will never talk to us about anything about what we're doing, our job, unless we're violating something. So
they would ask us.
He doesn't know anything.
Right. And they'd come out there and they'd, hey, you need anything? Everything okay with the jet? How's it working? Whatever else, and whatever. And I mean, I had good rapport with the pilots and stuff like that. So when they would come back, hey, sir, it's like, hey, how? I know it's air mission, blah blah blah. How did you do this or this or this? How was this going? Was this okay or was that? Was it off on anything? What needs to be fixed? What can be changed? Whatever else. So I mean, I was, advancing that for their sake, but as well as mine, because then I could make sure my aircraft was in the best way it could be, especially when I was in Europe. You know, it's when we're on the front line as it is. So it's like, yeah. But I would go and I'd pay the schedulers. It's like in beer, it's like, hey, here's a case of beer, keep me air to ground. because I knew my aircraft was better off air to ground than it was air to air. So I didn't have to worry about reconfigs or anything like that. So when we were air to ground, it's like, yeah, mine was always bore-sided. I always had it ready to go, and it was good to go. But I was also the #1 nuke jet for Europe, so I had to do all the extra classes and all this other bullshit and everything else. So I didn't have to worry about other extra crap or what anything else going on with reconfigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like I always had my extra fuel tanks in there, and at a moment's notice I can redo fuel tanks. So I had to go 2 wing tanks to a center line or 1 center line, or
I don't know what you're fucking talking about, man. I was a squid.
fuel tanks.
Okay. But I got the rest of it. Funny thing was ensigns used to get on my nerves, and I protected them, literally protecting them from themselves. So I don't know if you know anything about deck department. It's full of people who barely passed the ASVAB. They couldn't get an actual A school and don't even have an MOS. We call them rates. And then you can do OJT in your off time to become one of those. Or if you're in really good good standing, and you've been on the ship a while, they'll let you work at another department, kind of learning that job. But a large majority of them just stay there and become bosun's mates. I wanted to be a bosun mate, and they said that's the only way you can be a bosun mate. You couldn't join the Navy as a bosun mate. You had to go on designated, and then you apprentice. Now you can go to A school for it. But then I had this ensign and I was supervisor. I was an E4, and I had like 35 guys under me on that department, and these guys were all gangbangers, street thugs. You know, there's some tough dudes, right? And you learn how to work with these guys and have them, respect you. But it's a delicate balance.